Technology is really pretty and beautiful and wonderful. Um, so everybody, thank you so much for joining. I am excited to have you all in here. Let's just wait a couple of minutes and give some other folks the chance to join, and then we are going to kick it off. Thank you for being on time, everybody. Glad to see everybody connecting. Thank you so much for being here today. We are going to be kicking off very soon. All right, everybody, let me kick off this track, the Hacking HR track. First of all, I want to thank both Gary and Heidi for putting together this incredible conversation called the Global Skills Day. And in fact, I am hoping that Gary and Heidi make this an annual forever thing, the Global Skills Day, July the 20th, a day to celebrate how far we've come as humanity, but at the same time, a day to acknowledge how far we still have to go and all the challenges and all the opportunities that we have ahead of us, and the incredible, perhaps, opportunity for us to learn new skills, to reskill and upskill ourselves, to bring better, new, more innovative, stronger, optimized capabilities to our organizations in order to tackle those challenges that we have ahead of us, and at the same time take the most advantage out of the opportunities that we have in the journey ahead. So once again, I am hoping that this July 20th day becomes truly a day for celebration and a day for acknowledgement of all the incredible and amazing opportunities and challenges that we have ahead of us and how to get ready for that. This track today is the Hacking HR track. And we are going to be talking throughout the day about a number of areas related to HR. And I'm going to get there in 1 second, but before getting there, I want to ask you to just, go to the chat and introduce yourself. If you want to say your name, if you want to tell us where you are connecting from, that would be awesome to know where you're connecting from. I am connecting from Northern Arizona in a small town called Flagstaff in the United States. So it would be awesome to see where you guys are connecting from. And if you feel like it, and you want to be part of a larger community and connect with other folks too, please feel free to also share your LinkedIn profile if you're open to connecting with other folks, so that people can reach out to you or you can reach out to others. So let me begin by using a word that represents a lot in my life, both in my personal life. I am an athlete, I am a competitive athlete, and a word that represents a lot in the space in which I work, which is the space of HR. And that word is the word trailblazer. For those of you who may not be familiar with running on trails, on mountains and things of the kind, whenever there's a race, a competition, generally the runners, there are people who go to the actual place where the race will take place, where the competition is going to take place, and they add blazes or marks throughout the trail so that the runners do not get lost. So if I am a runner, I want to go to a trail and be concerned with, beating my time and making sure that I finish strong and that I do a good job as a runner. I don't want to be necessarily concerned with finding where the trail is. I rely on the people who came before me, the day before or the week before, or who knows how long before the actual race. And I rely on those people because they are trailblazing the way for us to follow. Why do I love that analogy in the work of HR or in the world of HR? Because I feel and I believe that HR, human resources, is very, very well positioned to potentially become that trailblazer that is blazing the way, that is marking the way for people, for leaders, for organizations to transition from the place where we are today to that place that some people call the future of work, others call it the now of work. I just call it the new reality of work and life. So I see the role of HR potentially as a trailblazer that is leading people and organizations and leaders into this new reality of work. But going back to the example of running and to the competitions in running, when the trailblazers the day before or the week before a race are blazing the trail, these people have the capacity to navigate uncertain territory. They have the tools they need to be able to mark that trail for other folks. They need to be somewhat strong themselves because they are going on the same path that the runners will be going. Maybe they are not going as fast as the runners, but they need to be way more aware of a number of things that are happening around that runners may not be that aware of because they are just focused on the actual race. The same thing happens in HR. The reason why I always say that we have the potential to become those trailblazers that are leading the way to the future, to the new reality of work. I always talk about the potential because I believe that we are in a great position to become those trailblazers, but we yet do not have all the tools, all the competencies, all the skills, or all the capabilities in order to do so. So there is a big gap still between us becoming an effective and powerful trailblazer leading the way and the place in which we are now. And that's partially what we are going to be talking throughout this track, throughout the Hacking HR track. We're going to be talking about how to become those trailblazers. What do we need? The competencies, the skills, the capabilities, the leadership, everything that we need in order to become those effective trailblazers leading people and organizations into the future of work or into the new reality of work. Now, I want to talk about 4 big elements, and I'm not going to have the time to sort of dig too deep into each of them, but I'm going to talk about 4 elements that I consider to be essential for anybody in HR who truly wants to become that trailblazer. There are 4 elements. The 4 elements are putting people first, aligning with the business, becoming more innovative and agile, and leveraging on technology. So let me briefly dig into each of these elements. And once again, everybody, I think you have the capacity to chat in the you have the chat option turned on. Please jump in, and if you want to ask a question, if you want to say something, if you want to just get to know your fellow participants in this chat, please just add your question in the chat. And if you have a question for me, please feel free to do so either using the Q&A or using the chat. So let me dig a little deeper, not too deep because of time, but a little deeper into what each of these 4 elements mean in the context of HR becoming a trailblazer. Element number 1, or factor number 1, that is putting people first. For a long time, we have been talking about building a human-centered organization, human-centered strategies, human-centered practices, a human-centered HR. This, at the end of the day, means putting people in the center of the work that we do. But this has become so much more important in the present time if we want to keep our organizations successful, sustainable, profitable, or making the impact for the long run. Putting people first has different meanings depending on the area in HR in which you work. But let me give you one simple example of the context and the meaning of putting people first. In April, about 4 million people left the workforce, the highest number ever recorded of people leaving their jobs in a single month. This is a reality that is not just a one-time thing that we are going to be observing going forward. This is becoming a new norm because the fluidity of the talent market is it's fast, it's chaotic, it's more fluid than ever before because of many circumstances that are going on right now. The fact that we have COVID, the fact that some people, well, COVID is a sort of a cycle in cycles now. We get better, but now we have the Delta variant. So many things are happening in the COVID space. But as these things happen in the COVID space, many organizations are still struggling to decide what to do in terms of employee experience and in terms of whether their people will be working full-time from home or full-time from the office, or there will be a hybrid model. But this is what I want you to understand, and I'm sure you already do, but I hope that you are going to take action about this. If you have parents in your company, single mothers, single fathers, or just parents together that are raising their kids, and those kids cannot go to a school in person because those schools are closed because of COVID, and they are taking classes online, you need to become much more aware of their situation, their specific situation, to be able, if you really want to keep those employees in your workplace. So thinking about putting people first is not just saying it. It's not just adding it in your values as an organization. Is truly building the strategies, the practices, the operation from HR and everywhere else in the corporate world for you to be able to cater to this talent that you need in your organization, but talent that may be going through a number of things that perhaps you're not fully aware of, but you are going to have to become aware of if you want to retain that talent. Now, if you are a company in a phase of growth, you are scaling up your organization, and you are a company, for example, in cities like San Francisco or New York, or maybe the largest urban areas in the world, we have seen throughout the past 18 months the migration from big urban centers that are generally expensive to more rural cities and rural estates. Here in the United States, for example, in the state where I live, in the state of Arizona, and particularly in the city where I live, in Flagstaff, even in Phoenix, a lot of folks that used to live in the Bay Area, in Silicon Valley, in San Francisco, they are moving from those urban expensive areas where they needed to be before because they were working in person in an office. They are moving to other areas that are less expensive and that may give them a higher quality of life for the same amount of money that they are making with their salary. So this is the thing. If you're scaling up your organization and you want to attract talent, and you are a company headquartered in New York, in Chicago, in Silicon Valley, now you will have to think that most likely the talent that you need to attract may not want to move or live in those cities anymore, because now they have a new reality where they can basically live anywhere they want because they see this thing of remote work working. So when we think about putting people first, what we're talking about is how do you build your strategies and your actions in HR in order to cater to what your people, your employees, or your future employees need. So to become a trailblazer that is leading the way for organizations, people, and leaders into a new reality of work, you not only need to understand the trends that are impacting what people are going through, but you need to keep an eye on the far horizon and make sure that you're getting ready for what may be happening in the future. Let me give you one more example before turning it over to the next element. At the very beginning of the pandemic, I don't know if you guys remember, a lot of people and a lot of organizations were saying this is going to last 2 weeks. People go home, work from home, and in 2 weeks, you're all going to be back. 18 months later, a lot of people are not back in the office. They probably will never be back in the office. Not only that, but recently, and particularly over the past 4, 5, 6 months, since at least in the United States, people have been getting vaccinated. What happened was that a lot of organizations started to say, you know what, we want our people to come back to our offices. But now we have the Delta variant, and there are cities that are either going back into lockdown or to mask mandates or to different strategies to make sure that it doesn't get out of control like it was last year. So this this process of, or these cycles of going back to the office or working remotely or going back to the office will continue to happen for at least a few more months. In fact, some experts say that we may be facing the same reality for the next couple of years. So if you want to be a trailblazer from HR, you need to keep an eye on these trends and tell the rest of your business leaders, you know what, guys, it may be possible that we don't come back to the office at all full time for the next couple of years. So what if instead of going in this back and forth, telling our people come to the office or work from home and getting them all confused and anxious about what's going on, what if instead we just set up an infrastructure to provide maximum flexibility for those employees who want to come back to the office and may have the opportunity to do so, or those who want to work remotely. So putting people first is not only thinking about what you need to design today, but also thinking about what's going on and the trends and how to get ready for that and how to keep your organization ready. So number one. Number two is aligning with the business. This, my friends, is the quintessential sort of conversation that's happened in HR for such a long time. We need to align business strategy with HR strategy. Like I said at the very beginning in the opening remarks that Gary and the track chairs that we were sharing, I think it's time to move from awareness to action. We are now aware that we need to align HR practices with the business, with what the business needs, with what the business wants. So now this is what matters. We've been talking so much about it, but it seems that that milepost, that milestone continues to move further and further away from us. And we continue to design a number of HR strategies and a number of practices that are not necessarily aligned with the business. So one actionable item for you on which you need to take action is truly understand not only what your business is about, but how you contribute to the success and the health and the sustainability and or the profitability impact of your business. So you truly need to have a deep and full understanding of what your business is about, and only then will you be able to design HR strategies, HR operations that align with what the business needs or your organization needs from you. Now, there are multiple ways to do this, but I'm going to just say perhaps the easiest one. If you don't understand, for example, or you're not totally sure about the financial metrics of success for your organization, go talk to the finance people. If you're not sure about the sales or marketing goals of those teams, go talk to them. Understand what they need, understand where they are going, and from there, design your HR practices and your HR strategies. Otherwise, we will continue to do the same thing that we've done for a long time, which is designing HR strategies and trying to fit everybody into those molds that we are designing, even if they don't necessarily work. So the second element to become that trailblazer, leading people and organizations into the future of work, is aligning with the business. First one, putting people first. Second one, aligning with the business. The third one, and if you notice, all of them are related and it's difficult to do one without the other. The third one is becoming more agile and innovative. Again, one of those things that we've been saying about the HR space for such a long time: become more agile, become more innovative. The reality is, folks, and I'm hoping that you walk away with this with this, I don't know if I want to call it fact, but it's a strong hypothesis that it's being tested every day and proven to be right. The world is becoming a chaotic place. The world is a chaotic place, and it continues to become a more and more chaotic place. Somebody said once that the speed at which things are changing today it's faster than it ever was, and will continue to increase and will continue to be faster going forward. So what that means is that things will continue to change dramatically and very fast around us. And to me, and I gotta say, being very, very vulnerable here, You know, one thing that I hear some leaders and HR leaders and business leaders in general saying is, we want to go back to normal, to the time when we were able to control things and to keep an eye on what was going on. And well, what I'm telling them is, you may want to go back to, the medieval times, because that's never going to happen again. Going forward, we're just moving so fast. Things are changing so fast around us, not only because we are promoting part of that change, but because there are other people, other organizations making things change incredibly fast. So to be able to cope with all that, to be able to tackle the challenges of this fast pace of innovation disruption, to be able to maximize the opportunities for our organizations and our people, we need to make sure that we are embracing the foundations of innovation and agility in the work that we do. And I'm not just saying this as in add in your competency framework innovation or agility as another competency or skill that your people need to embrace to come to work for you. I am talking about building cultures. I am talking about building systems, strategies, processes, policies that foster this innovation and this agility, and not be afraid of it. So that is the third element, to become that trailblazer. Remember, when in running, for example, when you are trailblazing the path for a race, you may find that there is a creek or a river that you hadn't taken into account before. That is a new reality, a new challenge that you're gonna have to deal with. So now you're gonna have to find out how to tackle that, how to cope with that. So all of these things, all of these different elements keep coming at us and trying to disrupt the way we operate, the way we work. We need to become more innovative and agile to cope and tackle them. And the last element, and I purposefully left it last, but it's very important as well, is leveraging on technology. I won't be digging too deep into this, but humans are not designed to do certain tasks. For a long period of time, we had to do them because we didn't have the technology, the tools, or the science to be able to, quote unquote, either outsource or automate some of those tasks. And in order for us to be able to focus on what we are really good at. We are not good at, for example, our memorizing stuff. We are not good at transactions administration. That's day-to-day, sort of monotonous kind of like activities. They are not the kind of task in which people excel. So if you have the ability to putting people first, aligning with the business, becoming more agile and innovative, and then you design your HR strategy and your HR operation relying on those three principles, and then you bring technology on board to help you run the transactions so that you can focus on what truly adds value, then you are going to be in a great place. So these four elements are, in my view, the four critical elements that we're going to be discussing today in the track, but at the same time, the four critical elements that can help HR become that effective trailblazer, leading the way for people and organizations into the new reality of work. The last thing that I want to say, and I haven't seen any question in the chat, so I'm hoping that you guys are engaged, or I'm talking too fast, and you're gonna have the recording of this. You can play it at half the speed. But I want to say one more thing before we move on to the next sessions that we're gonna have throughout the day. Somebody asked me recently, how do I know that somebody is great doing HR work? And I want to extend that question a little bit, and I want to I transformed it into, how do I know that somebody is not only great doing HR, but somebody can be great at becoming that trailblazer? And on the spot, I responded something that became my short but full answer. To me, somebody who is great in HR and somebody who can be great at leading the way and becoming a trailblazer is that kind of person who can help their organization succeed through the success of the people who work in that organization. If we are able to trailblaze the way, to lead the way so that our organizations continue to thrive, continue to be successful, continue to be sustainable, profitable, and impactful for the long run, and we do that through helping people grow, flourish, and thrive at work, helping our talent become the tool for success of the organization, then we are going to be in a fantastic place. Now, as I said before, there are 4 elements, and there's a lot of stuff within each of those 4 elements to make this happen. But when you keep in mind that your work in HR is not to run a transaction, it's not to police people, it's not to necessarily mitigate risk. That's the old HR. It's not to manage personnel. It's not to just, design employee policy or things of the kind, but your work as a business leader and as a trailblazer is ensure the success of your organization through the success of your people. If you're able to keep that in mind, I can promise you that your outlook of the work that you do, the things you learn, the places where and the activities where you spend your time, the skills, competencies, capabilities that you want to learn or embrace for your HR function will change. If we keep thinking that HR is just a cost center or personnel management or a function that is there to mitigate risk, to hire, fire, and pay people, and believe me, there's still a lot of folks who believe this, even if they use different words to talk about it. If we think that HR will be sustainable in time, we are totally wrong. The HR that will be sustainable in time, that will be relevant and value adding, is the kind of HR that is a trailblazer. And it's the kind of HR that becomes a trailblazer by relying on putting people first, aligning with the business, becoming more agile and innovative, and leveraging on technology. And the big umbrella on top of that is that our mindset is in a place where we know that what we are meant to do is to ensure the success of the organization through the success of our talents or our people. So we are going to be digging deeper into each of these areas, and I am hoping that because the time of awareness is exhausted, that now we move into the time of action. I am hoping that you take action. Join us in Hacking HR. We are doing a bunch of awesome stuff, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, the rest of the session, and I will now turn off my video and get ready for the next sessions. Thank you, everybody. If you want to stay in this Hacking HR track, stay connected. We will see you in the next track, in the next panels that we have today. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe, stay strong, and become the trailblazer, leading the way to the new reality of work. I will see you all soon. Thank you.